During the late 1970s, the 1980s and the 90s, the growth of Jehovah's Witnesses was exponential, especially here in South Africa, and it was mainly due to this one reason. Apartheid was a system of institutionalized racial oppression that existed in South Africa and Southwest Africa, which is now called Namibia, from 1948 until the early 1990s. Now, this system denied non-white South Africans basic human rights, such as the right to vote. Apartheid was characterized by an authoritarian political culture which ensured that South Africa was dominated politically, socially, and economically by the nation's minority white population. According to this system of social stratification, white citizens had the highest status, followed by Indians and coloreds, then black Africans. I grew up in that oppressive system and witnessed the brutality of the apartheid state against its non-white citizens. So you can imagine how people who wanted to get out from under this oppressive system would find the message that the Jehovah's Witnesses were delivering at the door very appealing. The concept of never dying is what attracts many to become Jehovah's Witnesses and is the main message preached. Though the majority of religions believe in everlasting life, they generally teach that mankind's destiny is to die and go to heaven. Paradise Earth is a key phrase in Watchtower literature. Now, this literature is filled with images such as this. Lovely, isn't it? You can see how appealing these images and artwork is and how people can fall for this. Who doesn't want to live in a paradise? Hey, we go on summer vacations to tropical lush green environments where we can escape and the hustle and the stresses of everyday life. And here I want to compare the images that North Korea portrays to the images Jehovah's Witnesses portray in their publications. However, the term paradise never appears in the Bible. Neither is resurrection onto earth specifically discussed. Each passage discussing a location referring to heaven. Let's look at these scriptures. Revelation 2 verse 7 says, "Let the one who has an ear hear what the Spirit says to the congregations. To him that conquers I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God." Now, Watchtower identify that at Revelation, paradise refers to heaven. Revelation 2 verse 7 mentions a tree of life in the paradise of God, and that eating from it would be the privilege of the one that conquers. Since other promises given in this section of Revelation to such conquering ones clearly relate to the gaining a heavenly inheritance, it seems evident that the paradise of God in this case is a heavenly one. This is according to Insight on the Scriptures, Volume 2, page 576. 2 Corinthians is even more clearly a heavenly paradise. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 2 to 4 says, "I know a man in union with Christ who 14 years ago, whether in the body, I do not know, or out of the body, I do not know, God knows, was caught away as such to the third heaven. Yes, I know such a man, whether in the body or apart from the body. I do not know, God knows, that he was caught away into paradise and heard unutterable words, which it is not lawful for a man to speak." Now, I am not going to dwell on this and unpack the living forever on earth versus heaven teaching in this video. I want to unpack the logistical impossibilities concerning this. Now, surreal pictures of domesticated animals, kids, and opulent homes spaced out by miles of parkland can be found in the Watchtower paintings of paradise. Now, these images may well entice people to the religion by making them yearn to be part of such a world, but they are not grounded in reality. A very small number of people are also depicted as inhabiting a big expanse of land. Will everyone fit if the dead were to be brought back to life and brought to earth? Well, according to the Watchtower reasoning, there will be plenty of space because only 20 billion people were alive in the world in 1900. In 1988, the Inside Book was still using the same estimate of 20 billion people, despite 9 billion people having been born during the 1900s. Now, according to this little quote here from the Inside in the Scripture, it says a very liberal estimate of the number of persons that have ever lived on earth is 20 billion. The Population Reference Bureau estimates that 105 billion individuals have been born in the last 2,000 years alone, contradicting the Watchtower Society's unreliable statistic. There are 148 million kilometers of land on Earth. 5 acres of land are typically allotted to each of the 6 billion inhabitants on the planet. This would be reduced to less than a third of an acre for each person with 100 billion people. By any ecological paradigm, this is unsustainable. The actual number is considerably lower because it is impossible to cultivate the entire planet, because doing so would require not only clearing all the forests, but also cultivating crops on the world's tallest granite mountains. To put these numbers into perspective, consider that China had 135 people per square kilometer in 2000. If 100 billion people were to be raised from the dead, that number would rise to over 715. There wouldn't be a paradise of sparsely populated swaths of land with happy children living in mansions if 100 billion people were to be raised to life on earth. Will the earth last forever? This is impossible. According to science, the earth will eventually come to an end. Even the Bible states this in Isaiah 51 verse 6, where it is said that like a garment, the earth itself will wear out. There is no indication humans will live forever on this earth. No scripture says mankind will be resurrected onto earth, whereas the Bible clearly regularly discusses a heavenly resurrection. Use of the word paradise generally refers to heaven, and Revelation places the great crowd in heaven. The doctrine that Jehovah's Witnesses will never die but survive to live forever on paradise earth is core to present Watchtower teaching. For over a century, Watchtower followers have thought they will not die. A number of generations of witnesses that expected to live forever are now dead. While the majority of people learn to accept death as a certainty, children raised as Jehovah's Witnesses do not prepare themselves for old age emotionally or financially. They wait as Watchtower promises go unfulfilled decade upon decade. What are your thoughts on this matter? Please let me know in the comment section. I'd like to hear your views on this. Until next time, bye for now.